everyone, how are you? It's Casey. I'm having kind of one of those weekends where nothing is going the way that I want it to. It is Sunday today. I usually try to do a video on Saturday, as you know, and it didn't happen yesterday. I really, a lot of times, have a vision in mind for a video that I really want to do, and it just doesn't always work out. So yesterday we had some incredible thunder and lightning storms and heavy rain all day, so I couldn't really work on dolls with the stuff I had to do outside. I still want to work on my Connie Low doll, but I can't take her outside to spray because the weather's so unpredictable. Today it hasn't been raining, but it's very, very dark outside, which is not always great for shooting a video. So I decided, instead of trying to force a video that I want to do, I might as well just kind of show you what I actually am working on, which is cloth dolls. So I haven't done a video about my BeBe babies in a while. Most of you who have been following me for some time know that I started my doll making journey with cloth dolls. Well, I did make a couple other types of dolls before that, but really I've been doing cloth dolls for quite a long time, probably about 15 years. Maybe a little less. Anyway, so one of the ways that I do them is that I have a popular style called the soft heart. This is a finished one that's going to be in my shop today. And so when I make these little soft heart dolls, I try to do a bunch all at once. So I do each part separately, especially if I have to paint the eyes because they have to sit overnight. So these three all had a painted part of them. This one is a custom order for just lips. So anyway, so those were sitting all night. This one I was able to finish up. So I have these three to finish today. The customer's waiting on one of these. So I thought we could maybe just work on them a little bit together, and I'll show you my finishing process. The other thing that I make a lot of are miniatures. So these little ones are super popular. They come with a little diaper and they're jointed. My friend Debbie makes the little hats and sacks for them. This one I believe is adopted. I have to check with the lady who is interested. And then last night I just sewed for a long time and I got this little one done that's like a silly little monkey. Doesn't have a diaper yet, but this one will also be available. So that's kind of what I'm working on. Blythe sales have been a little bit slow this month. Last month was incredible. I had the best month I've ever had in my shop and was super excited. And then May came around and everything bombed. So a lot of times when that happens, I will go back to making some cloth dolls because in general, I don't have a hard time selling them. So it's just kind of a nice break, especially if I get frustrated. So anyway, if you're interested in buying one of these dolls, I'll put a link to my shop below. It's different, obviously, than the Blythe shop, but also I do have patterns to make these. So if you're interested in making your own, I sell the pattern for this design in my shop. And they're perfect for kids. The bodies are one piece like this. The arms are sewn on floppy like a rag doll. But there's no joints, there's no small parts. They're really sturdy and kids love them. They come with a little outfit that's store-bought. I don't sew the clothes. I do make the little diaper though. So let's put a couple together and see what they look like. So the main thing we need to do with these dolls is soft sculpt the head. So if you're new to soft sculpture or you're just interested, they have long doll needles that you can use for soft sculpture. They don't come bent, but they just kind of bend over time. And then I use fabric marker on my faces, and I actually really need to get a new one because mine is faded a lot. I might be headed to the craft store today because I also ran out of Velcro to finish the diapers. One of these doesn't have a diaper because I ran out of Velcro. Okay, so this one needs a mouth, and I try to make my dolls different, but this one kind of has smiling eyes, so I'm going to make kind of a bigger smile. And then for the nose, I always do 2 purple dots sort of as guides, like that. And then the most important tool that I have, one of the most important, is upholstery thread. I get this just at Joann Fabrics. I think they have it at Walmart too. You can see it's upholstery thread. It comes in a couple colors, doesn't come in a lot of colors, but it's nylon and it's very, very strong, and it works really good for soft sculpture because you can pull really tight and it won't break. If you use regular thread, it'll break on you when you try to pull it tight. Okay, so we're going to thread our needle. And then I always start at the bottom. I'm not going to give full instructions on how I do this. If you buy the pattern in my shop, there are step-by-step photos of exactly the process I use to do the soft sculpture. With my larger one-of-a-kind dolls, I do a lot more sculpting on the face, trying to make lips or different expressions. With the soft hearts, because of their price and because they're really intended as children's toys, I don't spend as much time. I kind of have a set process that I do, and that is it. So there you have a super cute face. I do add a few details to the face, like blush, and I also kind of put a little bit of brown marker around the nose just to define it a little bit more. I don't know if you can hear my dishwasher going, but I've really realized that making these videos on the weekend is also when I try to do things like laundry and dishes, and I forget that I'm going to do a video. So that was another thing. I don't want to stop my dishwasher, so I hope the noise isn't too loud. Okay, so there's her cute little face. Now this is her body. Now the way that I do the bodies is I just sew them on again, kind of like a rag doll. Their heads are floppy. This is the safest way to make a doll for a child. It's really sturdy and there's no chance of any choking hazard, although I still would recommend my dolls for ages 3 and up, just because, you know, there is stuffing inside, and that potentially with a baby could be an issue if it broke or anything happened. I will tell you, in the 15 years of making my dolls, I've never had anyone message me and say that their doll broke. In fact, I've had more messages of people saying, look at how long my daughter has had this doll, and it's, you know, been washed a million times and it's very well loved, but still very much holding it together. So just keep that in mind if you decide to make your own. So the first thing we have to do is close the hole, and I'm using a ladder stitch. I'm hoping that you can see. I taught a class making this doll when I was up in Portland in February, and I'm hoping to teach the class more. It was a lot of fun to do. All right, so once the hole is closed, then I sew on the head. So you got to kind of hold it there and see where you want it to be. Okay, so this one has its little head on now, and now it's time for the arms. So the one thing to remember with the arms is the pattern calls for one hand to be folded over and one to not. So you want to make sure when you sew them on, you have them on the right sides of the body, because very often I'll forget and sew this one on and then realize that this one is not going to work. So this one goes on the left and this one goes on the right. And basically the way that I do the arms is they have this little tail from soft sculpting them, and then I just hold them to the body in the correct place and sew them on kind of like a rag doll. So hold it up like this and then start stitching. Getting started on the arms is kind of the hardest part. It's sort of an awkward process, but once you get the arm on there a little bit more firm, then it gets a little easier. Okay, so there she is. She's basically done, except for some blush on the hands and the knees, and then a tag, and I will show you what I do for tags. I don't remember where I learned this technique. I definitely didn't invent it, but I heard someone else say they did it a long time ago, and it's the way that I do my tags now. So you can buy what's called bias tape, and this is the kind that I like the most, and then you can create your logo or your tag and just iron it on to the bias tape and then sew it onto your doll. So that's what I do, and I sew it right there, and I will show you how I do that. But I need to get my seam ripper, so let me grab that. And then, okay, so here's the tag, and same, you just need your upholstery thread, a piece of thread again. And then what I do, just because it's easier than trying to sew the tag on at the time you sew the doll, is just use a seam ripper to make a small hole in the doll's side. You don't want to make it too big, and you want to make sure you sew it closed very well, again, so that tag can't be pulled off. And then you kind of, the way that I do it is I use basically a ladder stitch to close the hole, and put the tag in there and kind of sew it on. I'll show you what I mean here. And again, if you're interested in making one of these dolls, the patterns that I sell for it go through step by step with words and photos. It's funny because I have looked at a couple of other people's patterns after I created mine. And as with most things that I do, I don't really look and see what other people do. I just do what makes sense to me. And so when I made my patterns, I made them based on what made sense to me. And I also am a self-taught sewer, so a lot of the terms I use, you know, I don't know the correct term. Anyway, I saw some other people's patterns and I realized that my patterns are very involved. I took a photo at every single step, and I think that's why I haven't had a lot of questions. Actually, I haven't ever had any questions about a step or a process in my patterns, so I think that they're done pretty well. So even if you are somewhat of a beginner or not super confident, I think you could probably do it because of that. I've heard, you know, from other makers that they've bought patterns where things were missing or things were wrong and they had to correct it on their own. And like I said, I've never had anyone tell me that anything was confusing. So, and like I said, I think my patterns are like around 20 pages, and most of them are literal pages of photos that are just step by step. So you actually download them as a PDF, so I don't print them. I can print them if you want me to, but it's pretty expensive because of all those photos. So anyway, so there you go. And it's an easy way to do tags for dolls. So these little dolls fit most preemie size clothing brands. Some of them don't fit. Some of them are a little big. The preemie Carter's brand fit perfectly. Some of the newborn sizes in other brands are a little too big. So you have a couple options. Either you can let your doll be in kind of larger clothing, which I kind of think is cute, or you can alter it to fit. And one of the ways I do that is make it more into a romper. I cut off the snaps and sew it into a romper. But a lot of times they fit pretty good. I kind of like dolls in bigger clothing. So here is this little one ready to go. So I'm going to finish up these other ones and we'll take a look at them when they're all done. Okay, so here they are all done. There's this one. There's this one. you can see this is what it looks like when you modify the onesie. So you cut off the button part and then make it like a little romper. It looks really cute. I prefer not to do the extra work if I don't have to, but if the onesie is way too big, it's just better. This one is actually a custom order. She's gonna have pink fur hair that I need to finish, and I need to fix the lips just a little bit, add a little bit more paint, but otherwise she's almost done. And then the one that I showed you in the beginning. So I'm gonna try to get photographs of these guys today so that they're ready to go in the shop, or let me know. They're probably gonna be gone before this video comes out, but if not, I'll put a link to where you can find them along with the minis below. So as always, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for bearing with me on this kind of not planned out day. And don't forget to subscribe. My YouTube channel is growing pretty rapidly, and I want to thank you all for that. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. That helps out my channel a lot. So thanks for watching. Bye everyone.